What's up, Raider? I'm stoked that you're here to join me for yet another review inside Natty's Nook. If you're new here, be sure to go check out my first review plus my channel intro just to get a little bit of insight into what we're all about here. If you're not new here, but you have missed a couple of reviews in the past few weeks, go and catch up on them, because I'm sure one of those might just become your new favorite novel. If you're not new here, you've watched all my reviews, you've liked all of them 100 times, you told everybody that you know, including your angry boss, about my channel, and you've subscribed at least 20 times. Okay, now I'm stalling. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the next look inside Natty's Nook. This month's book is called The Traitor's Game by Jennifer Nielsen. I could start this review off by telling you how much I love Jennifer Nielsen, how she's my favorite author, how her works are the best, how there's nobody like her, blah 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 blah, and all that fluff. But instead, I'm just going to cut to the chase and say that Jennifer Nielsen is the best, and there are no questions, concerns, or comments. She's just the best. And this work of hers, The Traitor's Game, the one I'm about to review, is no exception to that. So getting into this, giving you a brief introduction to this book, it's a 3.8 star rated on Goodreads, but I don't want you to be discouraged that it's below a 4, because I think it should be a little bit higher. I think it should be at least a 4.0 star, because its plotline is pretty interesting, even though it's kind of typical for your fantasy, but the characters you kind of get attached to. So it's centered around a girl named Kestra Dowser. Kestra lives in this kingdom that's basically ruled by this guy named Lord Indrik, and he's just your typical villain. He really does not want anything more than power. He doesn't care about anything but himself, and he uses everybody around him that he can as bargaining chips. So that makes Kestra a bargaining chip. Kestra's father, Henry Dowser, actually works for Lord Indrik, and that creates her as more of a bargaining chip. And of course, like any girl in a fantasy book, they need her to get married to this wealthy guy that has a lot of power, because of course, that's what everybody in fantasy books want, right? So knowing that Kestra Dowser is connected to this huge evil king and might be a direct line for any enemies to get to this king or lord or whatever you call Indrik, these rebels, the Koraks, they decide to capture her. She's on a carriage night one night, and she is going through the lava fields, where she has been for about, I think, 3 years, and they decide to capture her. So these rebels are trying to work against Lord Indrik. They want her to find this blade, the Olden Blade, that is the only thing that can kill Lord Indrik. So, I mean, who wouldn't want to kill the villain? But technically, Kestra is sworn to protect her society or country, Antora. I think it's Antora. And she's technically sworn to protect Antora and be loyal to Antora. So that's obviously a problem. So Kestra decides to make a foil in these rebels' plans to help her get this Olden Blade, because she doesn't really want to get her dad mad, because the relationship there isn't good. And she does not want to be on Lord Indrik's bad side, especially because he's pretty magical and he's pretty powerful, and he could probably kill her within the snap of a finger. So she does not want to get on this guy's bad side, so she tries to make a foil in these rebel plans, and I promise you these are not spoilers, this is just what's explained in the brief outline of the book. But one of the rebels, Simon Hatch, becomes a love interest at some point. He kind of gets tied up because Kestra is not the most obedient captive that they've ever had. So the main question that is posed in the typical reader's mind of The Traitor's Game is, will Kestra find a different side and choose to be the traitor and go and get that Olden Blade, or will she choose to be loyal and face the consequences that await her? So despite how probably boring it sounds, it's a pretty good book. And the reason why it's really hard to explain this is because there are a lot of different details that go into it. This is not your black and white fiction novel that has three main characters, one huge plot line, and a steady rhythm. This is not your type. This is not what that represents at all. This is like your wacko fantasy, weird plot line, but still good and very intriguing book that I highly encourage you to pick up. A couple notes on my part. A couple things I really liked about this book. Jennifer A. Nielsen's work for me pretty much is a lot of page turners and it's a lot of thriller. So I love thriller and I love page turners. So if you want another page turner, pick up the Traitor's Game and read it because it is a page turner. It definitely gets your mind thinking about what's going to happen, and I couldn't really put this book down once I started it, which is a good quality. I also like that you got attached to the characters. I liked Kestra's character. She made me laugh. She is very sarcastic, and I like when authors do that. They make their characters sarcastic because their dialogue becomes more interesting, and the plot line just has a whole different level of humor and interestingness that you don't really find in any other novel. So Kestra's extremely sarcastic and she's kind of dark as well, so I really liked the different characters that weaved in and out as well as Kestra herself. However, there is one thing I didn't really like about this book is that sometimes you got so caught up in the details that it was hard to see where you were going next. And also they wanted you to focus on the plot line. That was Jennifer A. Nielsen's like probably purpose, is to like what happens. Will they find the Olden Blade? Will Kestra do that? Will Kestra do what they ask and all of this stuff? But like at the same time there's so much else going on that all of these different aspects, they don't exactly weave together and mesh to create this book that you just like, that you just can't, like, it's just like unfathomable. So it didn't exactly weave together and connect as like other books that I've read that I've liked. So I think that's kind of like the one downside, is that she had a lot of different things going on which were good, but she didn't weave them together so tight that like everything, like you had a click moment where everything made sense. And I feel like if you don't have one of those click moments, like at least one time in the book, even if it's the very end, I just feel like it's like really kind of confusing. So the only thing that I didn't like about this book was just because it became confusing maybe a couple times throughout. But other than that, it's pretty good. So if you're willing to look past the fact that you're probably not going to understand everything that's going on, as I didn't, then I really suggest you pick up Traitor's Game and read it. For that purpose, though, for that one downside, I will bump my rating down to a 4-star. And honestly, it's not like it's hard to understand. It's just kind of interesting to see like what you really as a reader, it's really it's a personal thing, like what you as a reader want to find out about what happens. Like, do you want to find out how the plot interchanges? Do you want to find out if these two characters become intermingled? Do you want to find out about the love interest between Simon and Kestra? There's just a lot of different things going on, so it just like really depends on your style and what you're really looking for in a read. But I do recommend this book for people that want a page turner that doesn't disappoint. If you like this video, please click the like button below as well as the subscribe button to show that you want me to keep posting these videos. If you're interested in recommending a book, and I say this to anybody who might be on the fence or might not even want to recommend a book, I'm sure you've got a favorite. If it's not one that I've already reviewed, I might not even know about it. So at least send me an email and follow the instructions on the very, very end of the video just for a little bit of information and a couple tips into recommending some of your favorite reads. Even if it might not be featured on the channel, at least suggest a book so that maybe later in time it could be featured. Maybe just not now. As well as doing that, please share my videos. I know that there are a couple lonely bookworms out there that aren't watching these videos that just want another really good novel, and I don't want to leave them unturned. So if you know anybody like that, or you know anybody that just doesn't really like to read, maybe it could turn their frown upside down. So share the videos with them and make sure they're informed, because one of my favorite reads could become one of their favorite reads. Thanks for watching my videos. I really appreciate your support, and stay tuned for the next look inside the Nook.